Dr. Jim Siebert here with the update for the tropics for today. Now, this is by far the only thing that is of concern at all for anybody in the Gulf of Mexico. It is not organized as of yet, but a lot of instability out here. So here's the Lesser Antilles, here's the Caribbean, so it's still on the Atlantic side, and it does appear to be heading more towards San Juan and Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and places like that. So let's look at the bigger picture. Now, first of all, the Gulf of Mexico is quiet. There's nothing happening here. There's really nothing going on in the Caribbean at this point. But as we come out here, you can see why there's a bit of a concern, though, because now this is not going to happen overnight. It's still very far away, but probably will become a tropical depression within the next 24, maybe 48 hours on the outset. This would become Fred if it does become the next tropical storm, and it does look like that's going to happen. It's going to take its time, though. It's going to be working very closely either on the Caribbean side or on the Atlantic side, and then come over here by the end of the week going into next week, where we'll see what happens after it gets to Cuba. So right now the computer models are kind of in agreement of what's going to happen with this, which means it's most likely going to stay in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. So, by the way, we do have this Invest 93. It's got a 0% chance of organizing, so we're not going to worry about this one. So it's Invest 94, which will most likely become Fred. Let's take a look at the modeling. So notice that the models are very close together. This is actually a pretty good, pretty tight forecast for something that's way out here. As we come a little bit closer to home, once we get into the end here, we see a little bit of variability within the modeling, but most models are taking this to the right, which would likely put it towards Florida in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Does not appear at this point to be a threat to us in the Houston area or southeast Texas. A lot of it has to do with the big high pressure we've been talking about all summer long, it seems like, and that's also why it's so hot here in southeast Texas. So that's what's happening right now as far as anything that we're watching in the Atlantic Sea basin. And keep in mind, from now until the next about month or so is where we move to the height of hurricane season, which really doesn't happen until about September 12th, September 13th. We're going to continue to give you a daily update here on what's happening in the tropics and how it could or not impact us here in southeast Texas and the Gulf of Mexico. But everybody at this point, we do need to stay alert as we move to the height of hurricane season.